After losing the world's largest rocket in outer space, Elon Musk sits down with Don Lemon for an interview defending the First Amendment for his platform X. Freedom of speech or gas? Welcome to Backwards Land TV. I'm your host, Tyler Brown. It's the first day of spring, so I want to jump right into it. But first, don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. All support counts. So Don Lemon has a sit down with Elon Musk, and it's kind of like watching a robot and a retired Abercrombie and Fitch model try to pretend to be human and have a discussion about important events happening in the world. Don Lemon starts off with trying to squeeze out a presidential candidate preference from Elon, and it's just not happening. He then goes into asking questions about what's coming next for Tesla. Now, this is where it gets interesting because he starts to explain that he's building a what he called a roadster that will be unlike anything that's ever been built before, and no one else is going to build anything like it. He says it's highly unlikely that anyone will be able to follow in the footsteps of this roadster. He asked if it had wings, and he said, kind of, like tiny little wings, like Maxwell's pretty little wings. And but he did say it had wheels. It does not have propellers, so it's not a helicopter. A roadster gives me an idea of that it's going to be at least on the road. It does have wheels. He then goes on to ask him if it's going to have a steering wheel. And he said, sort of. He said it's going to be sort of like how a pilot flies a plane. So I don't know if it's these things. I've never been in the cockpit. Is it one of these? Beep, 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 like a little robot. I don't know. I want to know what kind of sound system. It's going to have a radio. You know what I'm saying? I'm an 80s baby. They got bangers in the trunk. I want to know. But it's kind of interesting listening to these two people talk. It's extremely awkward. It feels like when Don Lemon asked Elon, what does he do to relax while he's running a major platform, a major social media platform. He's running a whole space station thing, like a what is it, like a yeah, he has his own rockets, right? SpaceX. And he asked him how to relax, and I thought it was funny because he said he hangs out with his friends and plays video games. And I'm like, those are the people that we all made fun of in high school who are now making possibly flying cars with pretty little wings and jet steering wheels. So I'm interested to see. Let's test the brakes on this thing. All right. So that's the first part of the interview. I want to get into it more in a second. The interview then takes its first of many adjacent maneuvers on its already floppy foundation towards an attention grab to poke holes into Elon Musk's sobriety by asking him if he's under the influence of alcohol or any smoke when he posts things on Twitter. And then to get even more personal, he asks him what his ketamine prescription is for, which is completely outlandish and does not have any warrant, and there's no reason for anyone to know that very private information about somebody when you're sitting down for your first interview back on the scene and you're interviewing somebody who is inventing possibly flying cars about his prescriptions. I mean, how desperate can you actually be for someone else's private information that you are stooping to this point? And you're like, what, 5 minutes into this interview? If I'm Elon Musk, I'm already checking out. I'm checking out. Checked out. The interview continues on with Don Lemon asking Elon Musk about a recent statement that he made about illegals coming into the country and it's, for the gain of votes. Don Lemon inquires, if illegal immigrants can't vote, then how is this for voting power? Now, this is where this is really interesting to me because this was a new perspective for me that I had never really thought about. Aside from eventually when these people become citizens, they will vote for whoever let them in. I feel like that's common sense. All right. That's just, to me, it's common sense. However, the amount of seats that are allowed per state is based on population. So he then gives a statistic that I'm not fact checking it. I'm just stating my response to what was said. Okay. But he said that if California had never let in an illegal immigrant into the state, they would have 20 less seats. Now that's voting power. So that's just one blue state. Now imagine the rest of them and how many seats that this could come up to for future voting power and election power. So it's a very interesting take on that. It gave me a lot to think about, and that's to me is a pretty decent takeaway from this exchange. And really, I mean, it sounds like Elon is aware of the integrity of our political system and its its compromise, if you will, if there is compromise in our election system. I mean, it depends on how you view it, but definitely leave in the comments if you view something else. All right, let's continue forward. The interview takes its next twist when Don Lemon asked if Elon Musk felt any responsibility for censoring certain tweets on his platform on X. And he seemed to give his slight outrage about some anti-Semitic tweets that were allowed to stay on the platform, and he expressed his disgust by showing them on his own show full screen. So he hated it so much that he had to show everybody, and so that you guys can hate it too. I don't understand the tactic there, but Elon's response was very simple. In my opinion, it was very simple. His responsibility is to adhere to the law. Okay, so free speech is something that we do not need to question. We should not be questioning free speech and censorship. It should just be we live in a country where we're allowed to speak our minds, and we should be grateful for that. All right, these things are in place to protect us, and we are one of the only places where you're allowed to do that. So asking for censorship and then providing statistics that don't really make any sense is kind of where we're at with this interview right now. And I applaud Elon's poise. I feel like I would have lost my shit already on this. And let me make this very clear. I'm not a huge fan of either one of these people. But when you just listen to this show isn't about who I'm a fan of and who I'm not a fan of. This show is about what's happening, okay, in these big discussions that are going to sway the public. And like I've stated before, I am for the people. I am for the public. I'm for our public's rights. This is a republic. It's for the people. It's supposed to be for the people. Censorship is something that is not. Okay, we're not supposed to be responsible for every other citizen's feelings, and we're also not responsible for everybody else's decisions on what they decide to look at and what they don't, and what they decide to post and what they don't. If I see something I don't like, I can move past it. I can move past it. I mean, are we even strategically using these platforms for specific information, or are we just looking for problems? Because in this interview, it seems as if Don Lemon is trying to just poke holes and look for problems that don't exist and take things that are little and blow them up into big problems. Maybe it's a clout chase, maybe it isn't. I don't really know at this point what the tactic is while listening to this interview. What I do know is that the freedom of press and freedom of speech is something that protects the integrity of this country. Now, this is also, it holds the people, the elected officials accountable. It's our right to hear what they're doing, and it's our right to talk about what they're doing. Okay, we have, like, I wouldn't be sitting here right now if I didn't have this right to sit here and talk about these things. Now, that's something that I don't think anyone should get in trouble for. And if anyone doesn't like what I'm saying, they have the freedom to change the channel. I would prefer if you subscribe, like, and comment all of your all of your opinions about everything I'm saying right here on this channel, and then we can talk about it. And if you're really up to it, you can come on my show and we can talk about it together as grown-ups, because that's our right to do it because of these amendments in our Constitution that preserve our right to have conversation. Okay, so while these things are being challenged by Don Lemon, and he's pointing out tweets that he says are so hateful that he shows them These shouldn't be in the public, but here they are for the public. That's, if it's hypocrisy at its highest level right in front of our faces. And like I said, Elon's poise during this part of the interview was extremely, extremely important, in my opinion, because he was able to sit there, look at it, and say, no, I don't like that, but it's not illegal. He made it very clear that his job was to adhere to the law, and freedom of speech is a part of that. So, as long as freedom of speech isn't challenged and freedom of the press isn't challenged, I don't have an issue with everything else. I'm an adult. I can scroll past things that I don't like and not let it ruin my day to where I want to find the owner of these platforms, sit down with them, throw them in their face, and tell them it's their fault. He then goes to say that the buck stops at Elon for things that are posted on Twitter. Now, this is coming from a ex CNN reporter. Now, this is a more important statistic in my opinion. CNN would put what did Elon say, like 20 articles a day on CNN. X has 500 million plus articles posted on it. So if you want to pick one thing out of those, go ahead. Go ahead, pick it. It's not for you to tell someone else what they should and should not allow under the law on their platform. If you want your own platform where you can censor everything, start one. Start one and you censor it. You tell people what they can and cannot say. You challenge their amendment rights. And then let's see where you stand after doing that. I bet you stand in the echo chamber of everything you love, which will limit your expansion. It limits our expansion as people. It limits our thoughts, our questions. It limits our ability to be skeptical when you censor us. We're not meant to be censored. We're meant to be expressive. We are human beings with mouths and throats meant to express our thoughts. Okay, we all have a voice, and everyone's voice could be heard if you weren't censoring them. So that's where I stand with this. I'm not going to pick a side. I'm just in favor of our rights as citizens to express ourselves, our rights for the press to let us know what our elected officials are doing. Okay? And I am definitely not on the side of hypocrisy and throwing things up that you say are hateful on your platform. Because what I really saw was Don Lemon do exactly what he said he hated on his own show. I think it's a clout chase. You know what I'm saying? If you say different, go ahead and like, subscribe, comment below, follow me, and we can have these discussions. I'm open. Okay? So that is today's episode. I appreciate everybody for looking. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Backwards Land merch is available at ltdbx.store. You have been listening to Backwards Land TV. You're watching this on YouTube. Thank you for liking, subscribing. I appreciate the growth of this channel is happening faster than I anticipated, and I'm here for it. I'm grateful for this opportunity to express my freedom of speech. How about that? Now, also, my book is available at lulu.com. It's a children's book, suitable ages for kids 2 to 7. It's a song that I wrote for my own children that I sang to them and then turned into a book designed and illustrated by me. You can find it at lulu.com. Search Grow by Tyler A. Brown, and they'll ship it right out to you. So thank you so much for listening. This is Backwards Land TV. I'm Tyler Brown. I'll see y'all next time. Welcome to Backwards Land TV, the #1 TV program in the solar system. I am your host, Tyler Brown. Thank those who are watching this on YouTube and paying patrons on Patreon at Backwards Land TV. For those who don't know, I'm also a published author. My first children's book, Grow, is available at lulu.com. Just type lulu.com and search Grow. It's available in hardcover anywhere in the United States. Suitable for kids ages 2 to 7, a really fun read. If you're interested in being a guest on my show, you can contact me via email at backwardsland1@gmail.com, and I'll respond accordingly. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe.